Hi, this is Sky, and when I want to know what's going on in the wide world of sports, I tune to Sportsworldradio.
Looking for the inside track on everything sports? You've come to the right place. Welcome to Sports World Radio, the fastest 2 hours of sports talk on the internet with your hosts, Jeff Escow and Elliot Big E Lomba.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Glad y'all could be here with us. This is Sports World Radio, the Sunday edition, week 3, the NFL edition of Sports World Radio. All NFL talk fantasy for the first hour, pick 'em for the second hour. Let's get all the particulars out of the way and get on with the show because I got a freaking white piece of paper freaking me out right now. So I'm doing this fast so I can get that white piece of paper out of my face. Sports World Radio is brought to you by Professional Recording Studio Equipment.com. Head on over there, pick up your microphones, your mic cords, your mic stands, and your pop filters, and anything else you need at Professional Recording Studio Equipment.com. Check us out on Facebook at Facebook.com/Sports World Radio. While you're doing that, head on over to Twitter at Twitter.com/Sports World Radio. Head on over to SportsWorldradio.com. Click the allow button on the notification bar and never miss a special episode of Sports World Radio or anything we got going on here at Sports World Radio. With all the particulars out of the way, let's get the second half of Sports World Radio in here. The one, the only, Elliot Big E Lomba. What's going on, buddy boy? How you doing, pal? I know. I'm with you. I'm with you. I know.
I'm face palming over that green room train wreck that just went on.
And the person who started the whole train wreck, let's bring his ass on here on the other side of Florida, Scott, the sports nerd.
What are you going to do, guys? You know?
Hysterical, man.
Oh, I did find it, by the way.
Yeah, better late than never.
Right?
Leave it to a Brown Buck fan, right?
That's right.
How we doing,
hysterical. Good. How are you, pal?
I'm all right.
Good.
Glad I can start off the show fresh.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Polka Dots over here.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of used to that by now. I could deal with that.
It looks like an amoeba X-ray. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, it's better than the door behind him. Okay. Let's bring him in. Derek Laughlin from Fantasy Football Maniacs. How's it going, buddy?
Doing good. A little delay reaction there.
How you doing, pal?
Good. How you guys this
morning? Good. Yeah. This morning, I'm still up from last night. It's week 3, and I finally didn't go to bed. I'm up all night. So it took me until week 3 to do it. That's okay.
Yeah, he's good for about 3 or 4 of those throughout the season.
Yeah, there'll probably be at least 3 or 4 of them. So we got the first one in week 3. Hey, Elliot, what is the over and under on that?
I think the over and under that would be 4.5.
4.5. What do you get a half out of that?
Well, that way you can't push.
No, I know. I know how you get a half out of it. I stay up all night and I fall asleep about 6:30 and would totally miss the show.
Push. If somebody says 4, they win. If somebody says 5, they win. You can't lose with 4.5.
Vegas has that half point down to a science.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes they do.
So why not go to why not follow science? I'm not a Republican.
No. Why not, right?
All right, guys. So shall we get the show on the road?
Let's do it.
Well, Derek wasn't here to talk about Thursday night's whitewash in New England.
Who saw that coming, Derek?
I had no idea. I thought Belichick would have them ready to play. I didn't think he'd have them ready to win by 27 points. That was insane.
Obviously, none of us, because we all picked Houston.
Yeah.
Everybody but your buddy. Who's that? Who that? He picked
Danny.
There you go.
Danny picked the
So right now,
Patriots.
he came up on you and a couple of games up on me. And Scott's in the hunt too still.
Yeah,
so.
how ridiculous is that?
That's crazy, man.
Well, you know what, though? The kid didn't need to have a stellar performance, and he didn't have a stellar performance. He threw for 103 yards, and he ran for a touchdown. But it was all about that defense on the New England side. It stopped Houston, and Houston's defense couldn't get through the offensive line to get to the quarterback, and that's what it was all about, and that's how they were able to do it.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's what makes Belichick the best coach in the league, because he plays situational football. He doesn't have Tom Brady. He doesn't have Jimmy Garoppolo. He doesn't have the strongest passing attack, so he gets his quarterback going right away with I think that was a 27-yard touchdown run. That's not a play he's going to call if he has Brady or Garoppolo, but he changes his offense to fit the personnel that he has.
But that doesn't translate really well into fantasy, because, you see, I played the logic card on Thursday. When I saw that Gronk was activated, I went ahead and put him in my lineup. They scored 27 points. You would think Gronk got some work in there.
Well, he was on a snap count, and I think they did use him in the goal line situations, but it didn't translate to him doing anything down there.
But again, like I said, after the show, or after the game, I looked up some of the shows that I usually record, and all the experts said if Gronk is playing for the Patriots, he's playing for you.
Yeah. And
the logic is that if Gronk's in there, the chances are he's going to have a good game, because especially when there's a rookie or an inexperienced quarterback back there. But that's not the way they went. That's fine.
Well, I
went to the chin with a big fat donut. He gave me some Gary Barnage numbers.
Yeah, and I had him ranked 16th in my rankings. I think the ECR at Fantasy Pros was 7 for that very reason. When you got a guy coming off injury on a snap count like that, does he just end up becoming a decoy? Does he aggravate an injury? He hasn't played for the first 2 weeks. He was so boom bust this week, given everything that was going on in that game.
So basically, in my other league, I'm playing 11 against 12 now. And fortunate for me, I did make another move that night that actually benefited me, and that was that I took Houston's defense out of my lineup.
I had Houston's defense in my lineup in one league, and I'm not very happy about that right now.
I pulled them out. As soon as I saw Gronkowski, I put him in and pulled Houston out and put Arizona back in. So hopefully Arizona trounces all over Buffalo today on defense. And they make up for the donut that Gronkowski got at tight end.
Right.
But we'll talk more about that stuff later. We've got a lot to cover, and a short time to do it. So usually the time flies by really quick. All right, guys. So in the NFL, let's go ahead and talk about some injuries. It looks like Alshon Jeffrey will play for the Bears against the Cowboys this week.
Yes.
Sammy Watkins, however, is out for the Buffalo Bills.
Yes.
Which is good, because he's had 10 days rest and now not playing. He gets another 7. The goal is to get that foot healthy so that he can contribute at some point this season instead of keep aggravating it over and over again.
Right. And I'm still not trading for him. So.
No, I got offered a trade for him, and I rejected it. And then in the comment section, I quoted Green Eggs and Ham, and I'm like, I do not want Sammy Watkins in a box. I do not want him with a box. I am so sick of getting offered Sammy Watkins. He had 2 Sammy Watkins trades for me, and then I think he was offering them for you, and I squashed that in the comments.
Poor Lance.
The infirmary.
Nobody wants Sammy Watkins from him.
No, because first of all, his foot is no good. And he can't get no separation from anybody with that foot like that. I mean, that's kind of an injury that Julio Jones got a couple years back. And it's been a while to get back to 100%.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, Julio Jones is an elite receiver. Sammy Watkins hasn't reached that status yet.
Well, and he had that the surgery in the offseason, and he sat out all of training camp, and that was supposed to make it better, and it became a problem right away in week 1. So just because he's sitting this week doesn't mean that in week 4 you're going to have the Sammy Watkins of last year in the second half where he's a top 5 fantasy receiver.
Not at all. A foot injury like that lingers for a while.
Yes.
What's up, Brett?
It lingered with him all year last year, too.
Yeah.
Hey, Brett. What's up, Brett?
Okay, it looks like Giants running back Rashad Jennings is out with a thumb injury. How does that change Shane Vereen's fantasy value?
Oh, it changes it a lot. I mean, that was a surprise because Jennings practiced all week, so that was kind of the injury announcement that took everybody out of left field. But I think Shane Vereen, low-end running back 2 to a high-end flex because Washington's 29th against fantasy running backs in the first 2 games. So it's a good matchup, and he's going to see a ton of time on the field.
Okay, so he's going to get the King's ransom, basically.
I think so. I mean, they're not going to give him 20 carries in the game, but he's going to be the lead back in the committee, and he's going to be there on all the third down passing situations. So and he's a value. In daily fantasy, he's not going to be worth much. So if you're looking to get a guy that's going to be on the field a ton in your daily fantasy leagues on the cheap, that's probably one of the discount players.
Would he be a better play over Latavius Murray today?
In daily fantasy, probably yes, when you take into account the salary difference between the two. In a regular league, in seasonal leagues, I still like Murray better. I think he's a superior talent.
Okay.
Yeah, the great thing about Shane Vereen, though, is he does play out of the backfield in the passing game. So that gives him added value, especially against the Redskins, who haven't really been all that great on defense so far this season. So,
right.
I mean,
the way I look at the Raiders is they got one of the top 3 offensive lines in the league. So even though Tennessee is good against fantasy running backs, I still think Murray can excel in that matchup.
Okay. And we're talking about DeMarco Murray, right?
Oh, I thought we were talking Latavius.
Latavius.
Okay.
For the Raiders.
Okay, Jets wide receiver Brandon Marshall is a game-time decision against the Chiefs today. So does that raise the value of, let's say, Quincy Enunwa?
Yes, if you're looking for somebody to stream, that would be a good person to look at. Decker becomes a wide receiver 1, and Marshall is a low wide receiver 2 to a high wide receiver 3, but he's a boom bust. His floor is a lot like Gronkowski's. With being on a snap count, you don't know how involved he's going to be.
Right. Okay, so there you have it for the Jet situation and how it affects your fantasy. With Arian Foster out, it looks like Kenyon Drake is going to be the starter.
Correct. Ajay is out, and he's not going to be the primary guy. It's Kenyon Drake going. He's the rookie.
Yeah, he is in the doghouse. Whatever he has done down there, Adam Gase is not impressed with it at all. They didn't have him activated for the Seattle game. And then the 2 other running backs, Pete and Williams, I think they missed a team meeting or something like that, so that's why they weren't active, and he got a chance last week, but he had a huge fumble in that game, and Gase is just having none of it. So it looks like Drake is going to be the lead back down there.
Okay, so, I mean, is Drake a play against who they playing today?
Who's that team they're playing?
Who they playing?
I think he is.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, against those Browns.
The Browns.
Yeah, I'd say low flex play to a high running back 4. Definitely somebody that you could stream this week. It's just you don't know how the committee touches are going to shake out is the thing. And Drake isn't that big of a guy. I don't think they're going to be handing him the ball 20 times. I kind of compare him to Vereen, where he's going to be getting all the third down work, and he's probably going to be in line for some of the early carries, but he'll split it. It's going to be a committee down there today.
I think I can envision Tannehill going more Stills and Landry in this game with the sprinkle of Jordan Cameron, perhaps.
Yeah.
More of an air game today, probably for Miami.
Devontae Parker is interesting too.
Yeah, Devontae Parker is also an interesting play. I think the whole Miami offense is an interesting play, except for the backfield.
And the Miami defense is a definite must start. I picked them up in a couple leagues, and I'm playing them in daily fantasy too.
As the face palms begin.
Did you see the good news though? McCown's shoulder injury isn't as bad as they thought, and they think
it's a broken collarbone. It's a broken collarbone.
They're talking about 4 weeks now. They've lowered the timetable. They said it's severely sprained and a hairline fracture instead of a full break, and so he might not be out the full 8 to 10 weeks that they were initially thinking.
It's down
does it
to
matter?
It's
does
down
it really matter? In the
matters.
long run,
Hey,
does it really matter?
It matters when Corey Coleman gets back and when Gary Barnage is playing.
And it's good news for Josh
In
Norman.
there.
Or not Josh, Josh Gordon, excuse me.
Josh Gordon, right.
Yeah. Yeah, because Josh Gordon isn't going to have a ton of fantasy appeal if Cody Kessler is throwing him the ball.
No. And I think he gets back in 2 weeks. I don't see him doing too much against New England, so he won't be in anybody's lineup that week. But around the time that McCown returns, if it is 2 to 4 weeks, then that'll get Gordon will have some game time under his belt once McCown gets.
It also helps with this.
It's the left shoulder, right?
It's the non-throwing shoulder, yes.
Yeah.
It's his left shoulder. That's also what's helping this. If it was on the throwing shoulder, that might require a little more time.
Okay, and so that basically covers it for the injury report this weekend.
So glad to see you guys reveling in my misery. I appreciate it.
Well, it's not reveling; it's just reporting as is. You know.
Yeah, we are rubbing it in just a little bit. Yeah.
You think?
I'd be doing a disservice to you, Scott, if I didn't tell it the way it was. So.
Hey, I'm up the
I need to visit.
I'm up the Howard Cosell mentality, dude.
God.
Look at the monkey run. What?
Ooh.
What?
Oh. Okay, so we all know that Austin Safarian Jenkins was released by the
Yes.
Yeah.
That was coming. I saw that coming the moment I saw the story. He's done in Tampa. He's done nothing to look good to his coach's eye. He's been a cancer in the locker room ever since training camp opened. So yeah,
Cowboys or the Raiders?
Probably the Cowboys. No, actually, no. I would say the Raiders. Because you got what's his face in Dallas. So
as soon as we get into the games, I'm sure we'll be having that discussion about the Norman Beckham rematch.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think it's going to be as significant.
Well, we'll talk about it when we get to the game.
Yeah.
I'm just pointing out as something of discussion that's coming up. And I think from there, we pretty much got it covered. Eagles are talking about getting Green Beckham more involved in the offense. I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I actually think Shepard's going to have a good game today.
Todd Gurley says he's seeing 12 people on the field when he runs.
He's like I see dead people. That's what he's going through when he's trying to run the ball.
I quote, Todd Gurley said, I see 12 people on the field on my runs.
I saw that on Roto.
He's playing the Bucs today, so he may actually see only 8 this week, but who knows?
That's not good.
I got confidence Tampa could slow him down a little bit.
Notice how Todd Gurley's not on either of your stardom or sit-ems.
Because he's a tier 1, so he doesn't get stardom sit-em unless
this is probably a make or break week for him though, because in the first two, the Niners defense, their front seven looks a lot better than people expected, and Seattle, we know what they can do. This is probably the easiest matchup that he's had this season, and if he goes out there and has 20 carries for 45 yards, then it's going to be alarming because even in a good matchup, you can't trust him.
And in the Vikings-Panthers game, big news out there is all the riots and stuff going on, the protesting and whatnot. Apparently they're saying that protesters are going to block the entrances and stuff to the stadium and whatnot. So keep an eye out for that. I mean, it's a sad and unfortunate thing, the things that are happening in society and in the communities. But when it pours over to sports, which is an outlet from, miring yourself in those thoughts all the time, that's kind of a disservice to the community as well. So hopefully the protesters will have a second thought about that. Anyway.
They're trying to make a statement, and what better way to make a statement than block off an NFL game? You're going to get a lot of that's what they did in Chicago when they wanted to make a statement. They blocked off the Miracle Mile, and we've seen that in the history of our country. Silent protest is not necessarily the best way to get change.
They're really ugly.
Yeah. Both teams are already at the field, so that's good.
Yeah, they had no issues getting to the field today, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I don't mind if they have a right to protest, and we'll see what happens, just as long as it's safe and nobody gets hurt. That's been the unfortunate things, is you're having people get hurt while the protests are going on and killed in the Charlotte case.
And on a more somber note, the Browns and Dolphins plan to hold a moment of silence for Jose Fernandez, the Miami Marlins pitcher, who was killed this morning in a boating accident.
Yeah.
Area. Nobody saw that one coming, that's for sure. So,
Yeah, that's awful. Sorry.
Condolences and thoughts to the Fernandez family.
Definitely.
He had a baby on the way too, which makes it even more sad.
Today's game is obviously been canceled between the Marlins and the Braves, and we just wish the team a speedy recovery, psychologically, mentally, and emotionally, so they can get back to the game they love.
Yeah, that was a shocker.
Yeah.
Well, when Jeff put it up there, he's like, "You hear about Jose Fernandez?" And usually, when somebody says something like that, there's usually either an accident or death or both involved. You know.
Yeah, and he was one of 3 people killed in that accident last night. The other 2 were close friends of Fernandez as well. So it's just sad that
tragic loss for everyone, not
yes.
just the Fernandez family, but all those who lost their lives.
You know, he escaped from Cuba with his mom. Ended up saving her from drowning on the trip over. When they were making that journey. And he was one of the bright, shining stars in the major leagues. Everybody loved him. I mean, he had an infectious smile, an amazing pitcher, and just a pillar of the Miami community. He was loved in Miami, and it's heart-wrenching that someone with so much promise could just, boom, gone just like that.
Yep, absolutely. God bless them, man. God bless their souls.
Yep,
For sure.
Hey, we're gonna have next Thursday. That rat bastard. Is he coming with?
I think so. I always hate to make guarantees with him, but I think so.
The man in the golden chair.
Yeah, make sure he's sitting in that golden chair.
Tell him to put a towel on
his lap.
At least someone will get picked on more than me. That's a good thing.
To prevent accidents from staining the seat.
or the laptop.
Right.
All right, guys. Getting back to Thursday's games, let's go ahead and cover the higher and lower picks that we did for that game. Brock Osweiler. We all said higher.
Yeah, that's the blow.
What did he get, like 7 points?
Yeah, something like that.
He was embarrassing that game. That did not look good. And I wrote a world. I think they said this kind of shows that he is not ready for elite competition in the NFL.
He looked every bit worth of $1,800.
Instead of 18 million, you're correct.
Josh just wrote in the chat room, it was terrible.
Yeah, Rex Grossman was better than him. Dude. Anyway, so yeah, obviously we all tanked on that one. As Osweiler finished with, I think, 7.14 or 7.74. I don't know off the top of my head. Lamar Miller. In our league, he actually scored. You want to track those for me, Scott?
What's that?
On NFL.com, the fantasy.
What am I tracking?
How many points that guy got?
100 points that they scored.
Lamar Miller.
The fantasy points that they scored?
Yeah.
The fantasy points in our league.
Yeah. Got to do something over there, man. Come on.
Yeah, we're going to put Scott to work for a change.
Just sitting there like this.
I know. It's all week.
All right. Hang on a second. Okay.
I think he had 12 something, if I remember right, because Nick and I are playing against each other, and he's got Lamar Miller.
I think so. You know what? I can probably find it faster than Scott. So
You talking about Osweiler?
No, Lamar Miller.
You already got
Lamar Miller. I'm sorry. Lamar Miller. Hang on a second. Where'd he go? He had, where is it?
12.7.
Yeah, he had 12.7. You're correct. I'm sorry.
Okay, so he finished lower. That one went to Scott. Me and Derek said higher. So,
Then Scott said lower, huh?
but then again, who expected the Houston Texans to get shut the hell out?
Yeah.
Especially after Tannehill torched them in that second half last week.
12.7 isn't a bad point total, seeing the offense was shut out on the board. It could have been a lot worse for a little
Well,
while.
in my other PPR league, he got me. In my other PPR league, he got me 23 points. So I mean, it's a 1 point PPR, so that's why it was that high.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah, 21 carries.
DeAndre Hopkins. What'd he do?
Wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, 7.6.
Well, that was obviously lower. Obviously, all these Houston ones are going to be lower. Hopkins was targeted at 17.5. Me and Derek went out on that bad limb again.
Well, I think the Patriots come into that game were in the low 20s against fantasy wide receivers, so it looked like a good matchup.
And I can tell you Will Fuller, because he's in one of my lineups, scored about 6 points in fantasy.
4.6, in fact.
4.6 in our league, huh? Okay, he gave me 6.1 in my other league.
Wow.
We all said higher. We all biffed. Okay, so Scott's got the leg up on us by 2 this week.
Wow.
And it looks like we've been wrong, Derek, in all of them. Houston defense, 20.5. They scored like 3.
Yeah,
They scored 3 points, yes, whereas New England scored 20.
Yeah, we all got that one. So, hey, we're on the board, Derek.
That's good. That's good. We didn't want to get a sweep there.
It only took us 5 positions, but we're on the board.
Wow.
All right. Next one, Amendola. Lower? Yeah, I think he was lower, right?
Danny Amendola had 3.3.
Danny Almamoka? What?
Yeah.
What was Amamoka's higher or lower point?
I remember his number being really high, I thought.
It was 17.5, so it was lower.
Oh my.
Hey,
17
Derek,
and a half for Amamoka?
We're on a streak. 2 in a row.
Wow.
That constitutes a streak, right?
That does.
Okay. Edelman, 12.5.
7.2.
We all said lower. Good
Yeah,
job.
because you guys were afraid he was going to have the quarterback.
Yeah.
Marquez Bennett only had 3.6, right?
Bennett?
Yeah.
Hang on.
I know he only had like 3 points, dude.
He didn't do anything.
Bennett Bennett, tight end. Hang on a second.
Bennett.
Yeah, 2.6.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So, Derek, we need to stop going out on that limb together, dude. Scott got us again. Our 2-game streak is over.
That's okay. You'll have Nicholas back next week. He'll screw the whole thing up. Don't worry about it.
True.
Okay. LeGarrette Blount, he definitely scored in the 20s, right?
Yeah, he had 22.5.
Yeah.
15.5 was the target. We all said lower.
Oh, nice. 105 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Hey, I'll take that loss gladly because Scott finally lost one this week on that one. He was 8-0 until that point.
Wow. Wow.
That's impressive
All right.
with what happened in that game.
Jacoby Brissett,
Oh, Jacoby Brissett, 14.92.
okay, we said 10.5. That's higher. We all got that one right. Congratulations, Scott. 9 out of 10, dude.
Nice.
Good job, Scott.
Hey, a blind squirrel grabs a nut every once in a while, guys. You know, what can I say?
Well, that's it. That's week 3. You're done. Good night.
I'm done for the season. That's it. Yeah.
Me and Derek come in at 3 out of 10.
Hey, that gets you into an all-star game in Major League Baseball. So.
That gets you into the Hall of Fame.
Our gurus ain't so much gurus, are they?
That's a Hall of Fame batting average right there.
There you go.
In MLB. All right, now just to recap from the Thursday show, I'm going to go over the higher, lower picks really quick. Arizona Fitzgerald, 11.5. We all said higher. Buffalo, McCoy, 10.5. We all said higher. Minnesota, Bradford, 15.5. It looks like we all went with, wait a minute. Okay, Derek went with lower. I went with lower, and Scott went with higher. Yeah. Okay. Let's try to read the chicken scratch. My own name. All right. Benjamin.
You can't read your own handwriting.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, dude. Pretty dank, actually. But anyway, Kelvin Benjamin, 17.5. We all say higher, going up against Minnesota today. Demarius Thomas, who is probably on a pitch count, we should win this one. We said lower at 15.5. Andy Dalton, we said lower at 15.5, except for Scott, who went out on that higher limb he thinks Dalton's going to put 15.5 or better on the Denver defense today. So we'll see.
AJ's playing for a new baby.
And to throw this out here, Derek and Nicholas both put Dalton on the sit-em list.
Yeah.
I think he's terrible.
Is Denver defense?
So Scott, you really went out on a limb.
All right. So next up, here I want to segue this into a quick sidebar here. Theo Riddick, 12.5. We all say higher, right?
Yes.
Okay. You have him ranked where? I believe 18th amongst running backs this week?
Let me look real quick. I got him 23rd. That might be 18 in PPR. I'd have him higher in PPR, I think.
Right, in PPR it's 18, I think. I looked it up this morning. I believe
Actually, 14 in PPR.
14 in PPR.
And I adjusted rankings about a half hour before the show for some of the injuries and stuff like that.
Now, here's my question. Okay. My waiver position this week was 11 because I've got the second best record in the league. How did Theo Riddick fall all the way down to me at 11 on the waiver wire?
I don't know.
When everybody's clamoring for running backs, 10 guys ahead of me didn't take them. Yeah. So now he's
Now,
on
was
my...
this before or after Abdullah was put on injured reserve?
Well, it went up on, actually, I had not seen Riddick on the waiver wire. I hadn't noticed he was on there.
Okay.
But then 2 days ago, I went up and I looked and I saw his name at the top. And I said, wait a minute.
Did somebody release him?
I'll put up a waiver request, but I'm not sure I'm going to get him because there's 10 guys in front of me.
Was there somebody that released him?
And this morning, lo and behold, I woke up and the request was processed. I got Theo Riddick.
Someone's not paying attention.
The 11 hole.
No.
So you see that stands to reason. You know, you guys always say in my other league, I got all the best players, this, that, and the other. In leagues, there comes that time where everybody falls asleep at one point, and somebody takes advantage of that. And that's just the way fantasy works. I had no expectation of getting Riddick, even though I put the waiver request in. And when I got him this morning, I was just like shocked. Now I don't know if I'm going to play him or not, but I'm going to roll that up until the last minute.
Well, the good thing is you're not going to be playing against him, so there's nothing wrong with picking up players like that and sitting them on your bench. Then you don't go against them,
especially when bye weeks start to come into play.
Yep.
So that kind of helps me out there. Yeah, I was just shocked. I just needed to put that out there. I was shocked. Anyway, Randall Cobb, who I actually sat in one of my leagues, 13.5. We all said lower. Dennis Pitta, 12.5 against Jacksonville. You guys said lower. I'm going out on a limb with higher than this one. Jacksonville, Chris Ivory, 11.5. We all said lower on that one.
Yeah, I don't think he has a good strong first game back.
Yeah, he might be on a pitch count like Derek likes to.
Yeah.
Isaiah Crowell, 10.5. Derek went on the lower side.
Crowell's going to be lower because he is not the number one back for Cleveland this week.
Who is Duke Johnson?
Yes.
Yeah,
Duke
but
Johnson's been named the starter.
Goal line carries is the thing. If they
Probably.
If they get to the goal line, yeah.
Right, exactly. But I'm just saying, for fantasy's sake, you don't want to start Crowell. He's not starting.
So with that being said, I think I want to change mine to lower. Thanks for the tip there, Scott. You want to change yours too?
Yeah.
You want to change yours too?
What's that?
You want to change yours too?
Did I say higher?
Yeah.
I'm going to lower, yeah.
There you go. A last-minute update. Now you know why I do all this.
And that was Mary Kay. That was actually not Mary Kay that put that out there, but it was Andrea Hanks. Do you know if Derek should know Andrea? She's out of Chicago.
Yes.
You ever heard? You ever hear Andrea? Yeah, she's one of the people I follow on Twitter. She's a good writer.
Yes, she is.
She writes for SB Nation and did a lot of stuff for, I think it was Bleacher Report.
Yep.
And
she's real good
too.
That's one thing about football. It's a very volatile league. So from Thursday to Sunday, a lot can happen, and this is a good way to.
She covers the AFC North specifically for Bleacher Report.
To pick up like stuff on that, like that. You know what I'm saying?
She's a longtime Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Doesn't like to announce it out to the world, but that's who she likes.
Kudos to Scott for the update on the depth chart there.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right, Miami, Tannehill. We all said higher than 19.5 against the Cleveland defense.
Yes, I'm sticking with that.
Still stand behind that. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Kirk Cousins, 16.5 against the Giants. We all say lower. Are we sticking with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sterling Shepard, 12.5. We all say higher.
Yes.
Okay. Clive, 9.5. You guys said higher. I said lower. To Jay Sharp, 13.5. We all say higher.
Yep. Oakland has one of the worst defenses in the league at the early part of the season.
In San Francisco, Seattle went with defenses both at the 15.5 point threshold, and we all said lower for San Francisco and higher for Seattle. For Todd Gurley, 12.5. We and Derek went out with a lower on Gurley, no, higher on Gurley, and Scott seems to think that Gurley will be contained under 12.5 by the Tampa defense. And he seems to think that Charles Sims will exceed the 13.5 point mark against the Rams. I'm sure that's just the homer in him talking. But we went obviously contrary on both picks. You and myself, Derek. Travis Benjamin, 19.5. We said higher. Considering that Indianapolis defense, I don't anticipate you guys want to change any of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, their secondary is as banged up as any secondary I've ever seen.
Okay. Philip Dorsett, 15.5. Higher or lower? You guys say lower. I'm saying higher because, first of all, T.Y. Hilton is a little dinged up.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of that, they're going to be putting more focus on him. And I think Jason Verrett is going to be guarding him, which is San Diego's best defensive back, which is going to leave Dorsett a little room to roam. So I kind of feel like he might have a big game for him, especially when Luck will probably tear that San Diego defense to shreds. Okay, in the next game, Quincy Enunwa. 10.5. We said higher anyway, Derek. Scott, you want to change that or
No?
You want to keep it lower?
Yeah.
All right. Kansas City, Mr. Smith, 16.5. We all say higher. Jesse James, 9.5. We all go higher. In Philly, 15.5 for Carson Wentz. We go lower. And Chicago Langford, 15.5. We are going higher. Well, actually, Derek's going higher. And myself and Scott are lower. And we round out hires with Dak Prescott, 13.5. We all said higher on that one. Okay, insofar as the Monday night game, let's get those quick out of the way. All right, so okay. Okay, so for Atlanta, New Orleans, we've got, let's see, Freeman, 18.5 for Atlanta. And Ingram, 18.5 for New Orleans. Higher or lower?
Say again?
18.5 for Devontae Freeman of Atlanta and the same for Mark Ingram of New Orleans.
Freeman's problem has been that committee that he's in. He's splitting so much time with Coleman. I would probably go lower than 18.5. It is a good matchup, but I think Coleman's going to take away a lot of touches.
Yeah, makes sense. Scott?
Yeah, I'm going to go lower.
Okay, and on Ingram? Does he find holes in that
I
Atlanta?
think it's going to be a pass-happy game. I think Ingram gets some catches out of the backfield, so I'm going to say higher on Ingram.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not going to go against the trend on that one. I'll stay with the higher. Okay, great. Now, just one more thing before we move on. Whoa. Sorry, guys. Dropped my book. It was going to be one of those mornings. We said that, right?
Right.
All right. Really quick, I'm going to run through another couple of things here. You guys just shout out whatever it is that you choose. It's who gets the most points between these matchups from each game. Ready? All right. The first game is the Arizona Buffalo. And in that one, who gets more points, LaShawn McCoy or Michael Floyd?
Michael Floyd.
I think Michael Floyd. Buffalo's secondary is terrible.
Okay. In the Minnesota-Carolina game, Stephon Diggs or Kelvin Benjamin?
Ooh.
They've both been heavy hitters so far to open up the season.
I'm going to say since Carolina's home, it's going to be Benjamin.
Yeah. I agree.
I think the Carolina defense adapts to Diggs and slows him down just a touch. So, yeah, I'll go with Benjamin, too. C.J. Anderson or A.J. Green in the Denver-Cincinnati game?
C.J. Anderson.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that one. I mean, I got A.J. Green going higher in his points today, but I think C.J. is going to have a better game.
Detroit, Green Bay, Theo Riddick, Eddie Lacy.
You want to take this one, Derek?
I did read an article on Roto World that the Packers have acknowledged that they have not gotten Lacy the ball enough in the first two games, and that they are going to make an effort to get him the ball more. And I think you're going to see less James Starks and more Eddie Lacy. So I'm going to go Eddie Lacy.
Okay. It's in Lambeau. I'm going to take Lacy too.
Okay. And I'm going to take Riddick only because I think that if Detroit trails, they're going to revert to passing, and he's more of a pass-catching running back.
He is.
The true running back. So that could help him during stretches of the game if they're trailing.
I think they're going to use more of a committee than Green Bay, though, is because who was the other hot waiver wire pickup? Dwayne Washington, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he's impressive rookie. I think he's like 6'2" and 230 pounds. So I could see him getting a lot of the carries with Riddick being in there on third down. But that is if Green Bay's offense can get going and they can actually score some points and make Detroit play from behind, that would favor Riddick getting on the field more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And
I
can see that happening. I can see Green Bay getting out to a 2-touchdown lead and Detroit reverting to just the passing game. You know what I'm saying?
One of the best statistics I saw is that if you count the two playoff games last year, Aaron Rodgers has not had a quarterback rating over 100 in his last 14 games. Right. And this is a guy that had 104 career quarterback rating, I think, coming into the season. So that offense is in a little bit of a funk. I actually am very nervous about this game. I don't know if they're going to
the Detroit defense can turn out to be the Robitussin that Green Bay needs.
They need something. They need something. He's completing 57% of his passes and averaging 5.9 yards per attempt. He is off to a really rough start.
Okay, next up, guys, the Baltimore Jacksonville game. Justin Forsett or Chris Ivory?
Really?
This is one of Derek's guys here, Mr. Forsett. And we're not sure what's going to happen with Ivory today.
Because of the Ivory's questionable status, I'm gonna take Duke John. I'm gonna take Forsett.
Okay.
I'm going to go Ivory, but barely.
Okay.
Jacksonville is missing a couple offensive linemen, but it can't get much worse than their line's been. And I think Yeldon has played so badly that Ivory's not going to have the timeshare problem that Forsett's going to have with West.
Okay, so I actually have to make a correction here because of the Crowell situation. I had him listed in the Miami game.
Yeah, I'm still looking at that because Mary Kay hasn't come out and said it in her Twitter feed, so it's got me concerned I may have been overlooking something.
They're both going to see carries, though. Even if Johnson is the starter, it's not like they're going to not give Crowell the ball at all.
Okay, so let's just say this. Cleveland's starting running back versus Kenyon Drake.
Great.
I'd go with the Cleveland running back, actually, because I think the Cleveland running back is going to get a lot of touches.
Either one? Okay.
Because Drake is an interesting play this week, but he's got a really low floor because you just don't know what's going to happen.
He's like in the basement, practically.
Yeah, I think Miami's going to be passing the ball a lot on the Browns secondary, and yeah.
Scott?
Yeah, it's going to be Crowell. It's not going to be Ingram. Or Duke Johnson. I apologize.
Okay.
It is going to be Crowell starting.
Time to do the fantasy shuffle with your lineups, people.
I know. That's my fault. I was looking at she was saying Ingram. She was talking somebody else, not Crowell.
It's all good. Okay, so it is Crowell, and we're all going with.
I'm going to go Crowell.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Matt Jones or Shane Vereen? Am I making it kind of tough for you guys?
That's the whole point of it, isn't it? Isn't that your point?
Mission accomplished.
I would go Shane Vereen, especially in our league where it's half-point PPR. I think he's going to see a ton of receptions, and he's going to be on the field quite a bit.
Yeah.
Plus, Jones is banged up and is questionable. I think he's going to play, but he might not be at 100% today.
And it doesn't get any easier either. Derek Carr against Marcus Mariota.
Derek Carr.
Mariota is a great streamer this week against that bad Oakland defense, but if I had both of those guys, I would still play Carr.
Okay. I'm going to throw a bone out to Mariota. What the hell? Nobody else will. All right. Doug Baldwin or Torrey Smith?
Doug Baldwin.
Yeah, Doug Baldwin.
Seattle's offense has been the problem, not the defense. So Baldwin could probably have 2 points in that game, and that might be enough to win that matchup. I don't think Torrey will that.
Especially when it's Torrey Smith.
Yeah. Or Torrey Smith, yeah.
Okay. Todd Gurley or Mike Evans?
Mike Evans. I'm not on the Gurley bandwagon just yet.
I'm going to go with, just to keep it, change it up a little bit, I'm going to go with Gurley. I think this is the best matchup he's had, and I think he's going to have a good game there.
Okay. I went with Evans also. So me and Scott.
I think it's real close, though.
Okay. Travis Benjamin or T.Y. Hilton?
Travis Benjamin.
Yeah, Travis Benjamin.
Yeah, T.Y. is going to be blanketed today, but I think Dorsett has a big game, if anybody does. And that Joyce guy, or what's his name? The Doyle.
Oh, Joe Doyle.
Yeah.
Jack Doyle, whatever his name
is. With T.Y., you know what I'm talking about. All right, so yeah, we're all going to go with Travis Benjamin on that one. Okay. Alex Smith or Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Fitzpatrick.
I think Fitzpatrick, too.
I'm going to say Fitzpatrick also. Although, that Jets front line could choke off that Kansas City running game.
Yes, he could.
I think what we've seen in the first two games, though, is the way that you expose the Jets is go deep against them. And Alex Smith, that's not his strength.
Yeah.
His strength is not
have a
the
deep
vertical
arm. You are
passing game.
correct. Yeah,
I'm going with Fitzpatrick. I'm just putting that out there. All right, Jesse James or Brent Selleck?
Really?
I like Jesse James.
First of all, it wouldn't be fair for me to put Antonio Brown against any Philadelphia receiver. Okay.
That's true. I like Jesse James too because I know Ben likes the tight end. Hence, and he's looking for that Heath Miller replacement.
Mm-hmm.
And since their starter is down, I think Jesse James gets a lot of throws today.
Yeah, those are two streaming options, and if you ask me which one's more likely to score the touchdown, it's James, and that's what you're looking for in a tight end streamer.
All right. In the Sunday night game, Jeremy Langford or Ezekiel Elliott?
They're both really good plays this week, but I would go with Ezekiel Elliott.
Me too.
Like I would go against Zeke. Me and him were born on the same day, dude. Come on now. And we share, he has the same last name as my first name. Can't get any better than that. That's some cosmic shit right there. Anyway. All right. And then Monday night's game. Are you guys ready?
Oh, God.
Brandon Cooks or Julio Jones?
Julio Jones.
Yeah, except I have Julio Jones 2 and Brandon Cooks 5. I go Julio Jones. It's going to be interesting, and I've been seeing it in the comment section and haven't gotten back to it. I think Brett had asked before if Snead's toe injury was going to impact him this week. It could. Toes are no laughing matter, especially for receivers who need that to plant. And so if he isn't able to go at full speed, I mean, that's just going to be more targets for Cooks, who gets a ton of targets anyway. I think you still play Snead, though.
With that said, over in my other league, I had Snead in my starting lineup, but being that he's a game-time decision, and like you said, it is a toe, I didn't want to take that chance. I didn't want to wait till Monday to find out that he's not going to play, and then I got nobody to stick in his place.
Right.
So I went ahead and just played Philip Dorsett instead.
I think he's fairly safe to play, but I can see where you want to do that. You don't want to have a donut in there with a guy that's not playing, right. No option to go.
I already got one donut from a guy that did play.
Yeah.
Too bad it wasn't against me.
I don't need one from one that can't play.
Yeah, too bad it wasn't against me. That's all I'm saying.
So it was between Dorsett and Baldwin, but again, I'm a little iffy on Baldwin right now because San Francisco's pass defense is not rated that badly. But at the same time, with Wilson and his ankle issue and Baldwin with his knee issue, that can be a major issue as far as fantasy impact is concerned. So that's why I went with Dorsett instead of Baldwin.
Yeah.
All right. Josh has a question.
Travis.
Kelsey or Julius Thomas?
Who?
Kelsey or Thomas?
Travis Kelsey or Julius Thomas?
I have Julius Thomas 3rd this week. I have Kelsey 4th this week.
So flip-flop them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the ECR at Fantasy Pros has Julius Thomas 5th and Travis Kelsey 4th. So they're 2 top 5 plays. I think Baltimore's secondary is a little weaker than the Jets, but they've both been shown that they can be prone to give up big plays. So,
okay. So this one, I'm going to give you guys a little time to think about it as we go along. No, seriously, I got something here that I want you guys to just give it some thought while we're progressing through the show. And towards the end, I'll go ahead and ask you for your perfect starting fantasy lineup. In other words,
my perfect lineup.
Who
you're asking me?
Who you believe will be the highest scorer at each position, including the flexes?
Oh boy. Okay.
In other words, you're creating the perfect fantasy lineup. Who are you going to put in those slots? And we'll see how close everybody comes, right? That's $1 million contest on ESPN, I think, or NFL Network. They run a contest like that. Anyway, all right, so let's get to the games, the fantasy impact on the games, one by one. It looks like we're going to run just a little bit over the 11:30 mark, but that's okay because we usually get through the pick'em hour pretty quick.
We got all of Nick's picks early this time, so we won't have any problem with trying to get those down.
We don't have to wait for him to put his beer down over at Buffalo Wild Wings. All right, so as we already know, besides Danny, we all bombed on that Houston pick on Thursday night. It was nothing nice. Hey, I said Houston would score 27, but they actually allowed 27.
Right.
The one thing I was happy with myself in that game, even though I picked the result wrong in the eliminator pick, I said don't touch that game because I said there was no more dangerous wounded animal in the NFL than the New England Patriots, and that is good because if I had picked Houston as an eliminator pick, that would be over.
What's their quarterback situation moving forward, you know?
Houston's or?
No, New England's.
Oh, New England's? Well, Garoppolo, they said they thought he might be able to come back sooner than expected, so I don't think he's been ruled out for Week 4 against Buffalo yet. We'll have to see.
And if he doesn't, is Edelman a possibility?
I can't imagine they're going to go with Edelman at quarterback. But who knows? Belichick might just do that fun.
And to be honest, Elliot, if they get into the week and Garoppolo is not going to go, they may pick somebody up.
Yeah,
I know it's late.
They may, but the thing is that Edelman probably knows the playbook as good or as well as anybody on that roster, as opposed to somebody that's going to come up hitting off the street and not know the complexities of a Bill Belichick offense.
Josh, I think actually, to not that it matters, but I think Ponder's actually backing one of the third quarterback in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken.
Ponder, really? That's your solution?
Yeah.
There is part of me that would love to see Belichick roll into Buffalo, Julian Edelman at quarterback, beat the Ryan brothers by 2 touchdowns, and just put that dog out of its misery.
Because the Ryan brothers would be fired the day after that game.
That would be epic, dude. That would be.
If the Ryan brothers defense cannot beat Julian Edelman at quarterback, they're done.
You know what? I think they should do it. They're already 3-0. What the hell do they have
freaking dice, Bill? I mean, if you can win with Brissett at a rookie with only 103 passing yards, and you put Edelman in there just for shits and giggles. Excuse my French. That's how I think.
Hey, that shits and giggles is well within the boundary.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and the thing with Brissett is I'm looking at Roto World. They said it was only a sprained thumb and will not require surgery and that he's going to be fine. So
on his throwing hand, though.
Yeah.
We all saw what happened to Carson Palmer last year when he hurt his fingertip. The thumb is just as important as the forefinger on a football.
Yes.
And if you've got a sprained thumb, chances are you're not going to be throwing that football too well for a little bit. So
they only need him for one more game because then Brady is back.
Yeah. So that's why I say Edelman is an outside shot.
Yeah.
You know what? It would be so Belichick. It would be so Belichick to do something like that.
That would.
Just to prove he can. You know what I'm saying?
So, it's a great big middle finger to Roger Goodell.
Exactly. Screw you and your conventional.
Exactly.
All right. Arizona Buffalo. Things are not going to look good for the Ryan boys this Sunday either, are they, guys?
No, I don't think so. I know it's in Buffalo, and that crowd's going to be nuts like they always are.
Now, remember, we're doing the fantasy side of it now instead of the pick'em.
Yeah.
So, on Arizona, play everybody? Fitzgerald?
I'd play Fitzgerald, Palmer, Johnson.
Floyd.
Yeah. Yeah. Gordon. I mean, Gordon. I say Gordon. I'm sorry. But, yeah, I'd play everybody. You
know who I wouldn't play? Because something's just not right about him this year. John Brown.
Yeah.
I would not.
Yeah, he had those concussion problems all through training camp, and he hasn't looked like the same John Brown since coming back.
Yeah, he's having issues.
Actually, Deron Brown looks better than John Brown.
Yes.
Okay, so if you need a boom or bust at wide receiver, try Deron Brown. If you're hurting.
Yeah.
All right, and for Buffalo, LaShawn McCoy, really, right?
He's really the only one.
That's about it.
It's about it. I wouldn't even play Tyrod Taylor.
And they might even choke him off because Sammy Watkins is not out there. There's no receiver.
Right.
He's going to load the box.
Exactly.
I don't know if I want to play LaShawn McCoy today.
No, he's a low upside running back too, maybe a flex play, but he just sees enough carries and they have no other options and he could score a touchdown in the game. I don't know if Arizona's going to shut Buffalo out, but.
So do you play him over like a Shane Vereen who could very well have a good game today?
Do I think who could have a good game? I'm sorry.
Shane Vereen.
Yeah. Shane Vereen, I think, is a running back too easily. And easily has running back one upside.
You would play him over McCoy, right?
Yes.
All right. So there's your fantasy tip if you have a choice between those two. All right, next game up. Oh, by the way, don't forget the Arizona defense.
Right.
They're a must start this week.
Yes.
Okay. As a matter of fact, they're your what do they call it? Stone Cold lead pipe lock.
Right.
From Mike and Mike.
Yep.
Put that Arizona defense out there. They could put up a 30-burger this week. You just never know. All right, Minnesota, Carolina, two pretty solid defenses coming in. Carolina's at home. Fantasy.
Well, in Carolina, I mean, the usual suspects, Cam Newton has to start, Kelvin Benjamin has to start, Greg Olsen has to start, the Panthers defense has to start.
How about Fozzie? There's a lot of Fozzie craze going on right now on the waiver wire.
I think he's more of a low upside flex play. I think if you have no other options, you could roll with him and he'll give you a few points, but it's going to be a committee with him, Artis Payne, and Tolbert, and then Newton has the ability to run as well. So I don't, against that Minnesota defense, I don't see him having the monster 100-yard game yet against San Francisco last week.
Right.
And, of course, you play the Carolina defense, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I would play the Carolina defense all day long.
On the Minnesota side of the ball, Jerick McKinnon, do you play him today?
I'd have him in the same boat that I have Fozzie Whitaker. He's going to see enough carries that he's going to be a flex option, but Carolina's pretty tough against the run, and I don't think he's going to have a monster game.
So basically Diggs is the option pretty much in Minnesota this week because, I mean, would that say if Diggs is going to have a big game, Bradford would probably be a viable option?
Not necessarily. I mean, because even if Diggs has 150 yards and a touchdown, Bradford might only have 220 yards and a touchdown, for the game. So I don't think Diggs being good necessarily means that Bradford is, just because there's no real other viable targets.
And do you play the Minnesota defense? Good as
I wouldn't.
So far?
No. Probably not against Cam Newton. The other one that we should talk about on the Viking side is Kyle Rudolph at the tight end spot. I think he has found the touchdown. He found the end zone last week, and he had 60 yards in the first game, and I could see him maybe being a streaming option. He's in the low tight end one conversation.
All right. Denver, Cincinnati. Who do you start for Denver today besides C.J. Anderson?
C.J. Anderson and their defense.
Yeah.
C.J. Anderson in the defense. Okay, you got that, folks? C.J. Demaryius Thomas is dinged up. He might be on a pitch count today, right?
Yeah, I have a hard time trusting him right now, and they're on the road. He wasn't doing that well in the two home games. I would lean towards sitting him. And Emmanuel Sanders, he's got a quarterback problem there, and it's really hampering their ability to put up numbers.
Josh says play McManus for a collection of field goals.
That's a good point, too, yes.
Yes. Okay. Cincinnati. It's going to be tough to play anybody there but A.J. Green, right? Maybe Bernard?
Bernard and A.J. Green would be the two that I would be looking at. It's not a Jeremy Hill game. They're pretty stout up the middle.
So coming off of Josh's point, would that then make who's Cincinnati's kicker?
Nugent?
Yeah.
Nugent, wouldn't that make him a strong player kicker if it's going to be a field goal competition?
Yeah, I mean, I still think he's only a kicker too. I think you can probably find better options than him.
Okay. And Cincinnati D, we got to play them, right? I mean, Trevor Siemian is the quarterback for the Broncos, so.
Yes. Yes, definitely. I mean, they're good at forcing turnovers. Marvin Lewis always is able to force turnovers, and I could see him being able to do that in that situation today.
All right, a game close to your heart, Detroit at Green Bay. Detroit, Matthew Stafford, Riddick, perhaps.
Yes. Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones has looked very good start the season. I'm selling Golden Tate. He just has not been that involved in the offense.
It seems to me that Anquan Bolden is getting most of the action in that.
He is getting a lot of touches. Yes, he's getting a lot of targets.
And he's a better goal line receiver than Tate.
Yes,
Tate's never been a great goal line guy, and Bolden is just zapping any upside that he has.
Yep. So
Dwayne Washington's a sneaky play if you're in a real bind. Green Bay's got some injuries on defense. I think Clay Matthews isn't going to play, and Morgan Burnett's not going to play today. And so if that's the case, Dwayne Washington is somebody that could maybe have a...
How about Eric Ebron?
Yes, Eric Ebron would be a must start as well.
Okay. And for Green Bay, I'm sitting Randall Cobb.
So am I. He was on my sit of the week list. Unless your league awards 9 yards per catch, that's about the only reason you'd want to play him.
Jesus.
And if we were a full PPR, maybe.
Yeah.
And
even then, though.
Leave him alone.
I think he's the 60th ranked fantasy receiver through the first 2 weeks. So it's not even necessarily a matchup question. It's a production question. Can he produce in any matchup?
Rodgers, Lacey,
Jordy Nelson.
Neither one of the tight ends, right? Nobody's established terra firma with those two.
No, they targeted Cooks more, but again, it was the same problem. I think he had 4 catches for 28 yards. Green Bay's offense is not going vertical at this point. Mason Crosby could be a good play as well. I think Green Bay's going to be able to move the ball, and if they're stalling in the red zone, Crosby can get some field goals.
Okay, Baltimore, Jacksonville. Baltimore, you playing Flacco as a streamer?
He's a much better quarterback at home than he is on the road, but Jacksonville has looked terrible on defense. So I think you could definitely go with him as a streamer this week, even on the road.
How about the RBBC? Who comes out on top there?
I think West and Forsett are both running back fours, with Forsett being a little higher upside one. But it's Mike Wallace, I think, is a guy that you can look at. Jacksonville's secondary has been bad, and he's been able to get the deep ball with Joe Flacco going. So that's a guy that could break a big play. He's boom bust wide receiver 3.
And Jacksonville, the usual suspects: Bortles, Thomas, Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns.
Yeah, Baltimore, the weakness on their defense is the secondary. They're more stout up front. I would not play the 2 running backs this week. They are missing 2 offensive linemen. Ivory is the one you would play if you're going to play one of them. But who knows what he's going to look like? He hasn't played for 2 weeks.
I think Yeldon's been officially outcast myself. But.
Yeah, he's starting to look like you can just label him a bust at this point, unless he turns something around pretty quickly.
Okay. Or gets traded.
Yeah, that helped Trent Richardson, didn't it?
Yeah, really.
The long line of Alabama running backs.
Who are we playing on Cleveland against Miami?
Nobody.
I think Duke Johnson is somebody that you could look at just because they're going to have to go to the running backs a ton, and he's the one that they're going to be throwing to out of the backfield if they get behind in that game. So I think Duke Johnson, if you're looking for a flex play, that's somebody you could look toward. But it's a terrible matchup, and he has no quarterback help.
Okay, not closing the book on Cleveland, obviously. How about Miami? Everybody, pretty much? except the running backs?
Yeah, the running backs, I think, is too much of a committee situation. Otherwise, I think Landry, Stills, and Parker all have potential to be relevant. Tannehill's a great streaming play, and the Miami defense is a fantastic play this week.
And who's their kicker again? He's a new guy, isn't he?
I thought Franks was their kicker unless they made a change.
No, Franks.
Yeah.
Play him?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And
They should be able to move the ball, and Miami can be inconsistent in the red zone, so he could hit some field goals. That's a good streamer if you're looking for a cheap streamer.
Okay. Looks like today's show might go over a little bit. Anyway, Washington and the Giants. Kirk Cousins is a bench for me.
I agree.
Moving forward. He's not on the roster anymore.
Yeah, Giants defense has looked much improved over last year, so it looks like it's a tough matchup, and he has not played well the first 2 games of the season. He still has time to turn it around. I don't know if I want to write him off after 2 games, but you have to put him on the bench until you can until he proves that he's somebody that you can rely on.
So maybe Jordan Reed or Matt Jones, probably?
Those would probably be the only 2 that I'd be looking at. I think everybody else is pretty problematic at this point.
What's Gosh Garcon done this year as far as any kind of productivity?
Actually, Jamison Crowder seems to be emerging in that wide receiver core as a possible fantasy impact later down the road, because Son is getting nothing, and Deshaun he's usually just slowing down or just hurt. Doxson is another one, right? But I think Crowder is actually being infused now a little harder than Doxson is. So.
Yeah, and the problem is if you're going to start Doxson, then you got 2 targets above him you're going to start, and then that means Cousins is going to be fantasy viable. So I think if Cousins can turn it around where he's playing like he was at the end of last year, then that's where Doxson's going to become viable, because Cousins will be playing well enough that you can have that many targets in the Washington passing game.
Mm-hmm. Then over in the Giants camp, I would say the entire wide receiver core, because any one of those are capable of scoring a touchdown and putting up a few yards.
Absolutely.
Right? Eli Manning would be the beneficiary of such offense. So I would start him, right?
Yes.
And at the running back, plug Shane Vereen in there.
Absolutely, especially in PPR leagues, but even in standard leagues, I think he's going to be good enough to have a good game there because he's going to see so much more time on the field now that Rashad Jennings has been ruled out.
And considering that his backup is a guy named Orleans Darkwa, I would say that Shane Vereen is probably going to get 90% of the touches today.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet.
Okay, moving on along. Oakland and Tennessee. Oakland.
Derek Carr, Amari Cooper, Latavius Murray.
No Crabtree?
I think you can play Crabtree this week. Tennessee tends to be better against the run than the pass, so I think there's room for 2 wide receivers there. Wolford had a good game last week. I don't know if he's still at the point where you can trust him as a weekly play, but he's definitely in the streaming conversation.
Okay. All right. And
Ian Rappaport is reporting Delaney Walker will be inactive today.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is stuff for Mariota. That changes the whole perspective for Mariota. He's going to have to heavily rely on Sharp probably today, right? And DeMarco.
Yeah. Yep, I think it's going to help the running backs, and it's going to help Sharp because those are the guys that are going to see more touch. Maybe Derrick Henry is somebody that you see a little more in this game too to make up for that. That's a huge loss. He's the big red zone threat in their passing offense, and he's as consistent as anybody in the passing game.
And of course,
but if you're going to lose him, but if you're going to lose him, you might as well lose him against the Oakland defense.
Yeah, from a non-fantasy perspective, as far as the team goes, yes, that's a defense to lose them against.
Yeah. But from a fantasy perspective, that could have a ripple effect throughout the entire team, one way or the other.
It definitely hurts Mariota's upside because I thought he had a chance to be high quarterback 2 to a low quarterback 1, and it zaps his upside. I think he's still probably a top 15 play, but it definitely hurts him from getting into that quarterback 1 conversation.
So now it kind of basically locks in Tannehill as the better play this week over Mariota, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. San Francisco, Seattle. In San Francisco.
Thomas Rawls has been inactivated as well.
Yeah, I know. I got Christian Michael in some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good news for Christine Michael because he should see the lion's share of the carries then.
Exactly. So, yeah, I updated that earlier. But anyway, in San Francisco, I would sit Carlos Hyde. Correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. No wide receivers are pretty much. You know who's a boomer bust and an ex? I don't know. You can take a flyer on him. It's Vance McDonald.
I agree. Seattle has struggled to cover tight ends last year and at times this year. So that is definitely somebody that if they're going to gain some yards up there, he's one that could do it.
Okay. But pretty much for San Francisco, I would probably play their defense in a pinch only because Seattle has not looked good. And
yeah.
San Francisco's defense looked good until they went against the option-type quarterback, but Russell Wilson doesn't seem to have that luxury at the moment with his ankle injury.
Correct.
Right.
So,
and I have Russell Wilson down as a quarterback 2 this week just because it's hard to trust him with that ankle. If he doesn't have mobility, that takes away his rushing production, and that's what makes him an appealing player. That and the broken plays that he gains huge passing yards on.
Now, are you putting somebody like Tannehill over him to start?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have Tannehill a couple spots higher than Russell Wilson.
Okay. All right. And then for Seattle, obviously Christine Michael, now that he's the guy back there, right?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with him and Rawls was guessing who was going to see the lion's share of the carries. But now that Rawls has been inactive, Christine Michael should be a good bet to see 15 or 20 carries and be able to get into a rhythm. And hopefully for him, he'll be able to capitalize and have a big game on a questionable San Francisco defense and maybe establish somebody as a front runner there.
I think this might be Christine Michael's last hurrah to prove that he's the number one back in the NFL with Seattle. If he can put together a string of good games while Rawls is still suffering, then he might be able to solidify himself as the number one back for the Seahawks. So
I agree.
Very big moment for Christine Michael moving forward as long as Rawls is injured.
Yes.
Okay, so Seattle defense, obviously. That's a brainer.
Yeah, they're going to be a great play, I would think, this week. You got Blaine Gabbert playing in Seattle against that 12th man and that Seattle defense. That's going to be a good game for them.
Are you playing the kickers in this game? Because there could be a lot.
Yeah, I'm playing Michigan in this game. I would definitely play
and the San Francisco kicker as well is who is it? Phil Dawson still or somebody?
Yeah, it's Dawson. I would lean toward no. Seattle's defense is really tough. I wouldn't want anything to do with that.
All right, LA at Tampa Bay. You got to play Gurley because you spent the number one draft pick on him.
Yeah, this is a big week for him because if he goes there and plays badly, then you're questioning whether you can even play him in good matchups. The Rams defense, I think you could possibly play, but that's going to be a tough game, and we've seen that with teams where they play well one week and get an upset win, and then they're just not able to translate it to the next week. So I don't know if the Rams are going to be able to duplicate that effort on defense they had against Seattle. But given how much Winston turned the ball over last week and how well they played, they have to be in the starting defense conversation.
Okay. And in Tampa, Mike Evans?
Mike Evans, Jameis Winston.
I don't know if I'd start Winston against this Rams defense.
I wouldn't either.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I think he's kind of especially if you got a guy like him or Tannehill, I'd much rather go with Tannehill than
Winston. The Rams defense is going to choke off Winston's ability to take off with the football.
Yeah, I think that's going to hurt. And the other thing is, with all the turnovers he had last week, do they try to come up with a more conservative game plan to limit the turnovers? You got to think if you're the Tampa coaching staff that you're not really worried about the Rams scoring 24 points on you and running away with the game. The one way that you're going to lose the game is if you turn the ball over. So I could see a more conservative game plan where he doesn't turn the ball over, but there's not the vertical plays down the field because they want to limit the turnover opportunities.
Right.
What about Sims? You play Sims?
I think Sims is in the running back 4 conversation, and he does have some big playability that could get him into the flex. But again, that Rams front 7 seems to be the tough part of the unit. It's not a high upside thing, but that was kind of the problem this week is all those waiver wire running backs that everybody was picking up, which they should be picking up, don't have the greatest matchups. With Whitaker, McKinnon, and Sims, none of those guys really have matchups that jump off the screen that you need to be using them.
Hey, thanks, Josh, for the update. We did cover that 5 minutes ago, but thanks anyway, pal. All right. San Diego, Indianapolis. I mean, pretty much the receiver cores, right, on both sides?
Yeah. This should be a high-scoring pass-first game. So any of the receivers, both the quarterbacks, Melvin Gordon, Frank Gore, I think are all going to be good options in this game.
All in on everybody.
Yeah.
except the defenses.
Yeah. Yeah, don't play the Colts or San Diego defense, although I don't think anybody's listening to this show to find that out. So,
But anyway, yeah, I mean, pretty much the entire offenses on these teams. Phillip Rivers, Andrew Luck. I mean, I think Andrew Luck has the better game, but Rivers is going to put up some points. Benjamin for sure, as he seems to be that target that Rivers has honed into now that Keenan Allen has gone. So, yeah, that's gonna be an interesting game to watch. I you know what? I give that game probably a higher on any over under.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Usually over unders don't get up into the 60s, and I could see both teams having 30 points this week in that game.
Exactly. So that's going to be one that the bookies don't like because they're not going to get too much action on that kind of a bet. But anyway, New York Jets at Kansas City. Interesting matchup here.
Well, I would not play Brandon Marshall. He is on a snap count.
I would definitely if Quincy Enunwa is a very interesting play this week, especially with what he did against Buffalo 10 days ago.
Right. And I like Fitzpatrick in this matchup. I also like
gotta like Matt Forte.
Yes, Matt Forte is a must-play as well.
Yeah, especially if he keeps seeing 30 touches a game. He's going to get hurt eventually, but you got to play him while he's getting the 30 touches a game.
No touches,
right.
Exactly. Because Bilal Powell, he'll step in eventually if something like that happens. But for the time being,
right. What about Decker?
If he's one of those,
easily.
if he's playing for the Jets, he's in your lineup as far as goes, and Eric Decker for that matter.
Yes, absolutely.
I'd be shocked if he didn't score a touchdown today. He normally scores a touchdown even with Marshall playing, and with Marshall on the snap count, I got to believe Decker finds the end zone this week.
Yeah, I think Enunwa finds the end zone as well. I think both of them split a touchdown. You know what I'm saying?
I like the defense in this as well. I think
absolutely.
I think they're going to harass Alex Smith to death.
I think they're going to shut down Spencer Ware myself.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's going to be key. So I'm going with the defense. On the other side, on Kansas City, being that Jets defense is going to be so ferocious, what's the only viable option there? Travis Kelce?
Travis Kelce. Spencer Ware is going to be the interesting play. We were just talking about him because with no Jamal Charles, he's still a guy that's going to see 20 carries probably this game. The question is it going to be for 45 yards?
Yeah, exactly.
But I think you're going to have some owners in seasonal leagues where they're just not going to have a choice. I mean, what they have behind them is just going to be going too far down the depth chart. So I think there are owners that will play Ware in the daily fantasy leagues. Terrible play as far as I'm concerned. There's so many other better values out there that you could use your salary cap money on.
Okay. And the Kansas City defense hasn't really been that menacing because of the fact that Justin Houston is not there.
Yeah.
And so I would play them only if you had no other choice, if there was no other better option available. Although in some leagues you can probably find the Miami Dolphins available to play this week. Again.
Right.
So, all right, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia.
Ben, AB, of course.
Yeah.
I'd actually even play the Pittsburgh defense.
D'Angelo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would also play the Pittsburgh defense in this game.
I hear Marcus Wheaton is coming back this week.
He is, and that's an intriguing player because he's in a contract year, and he hasn't been able to get on the field yet. So we'll see what he's able to do. I would probably say don't start him this week just because you kind of want to see what his role in the offense is.
Because remember, Coates and Rodgers were there filling in for the absence of Marcus Wheaton.
Right.
So Marcus Wheaton eventually is going to get back into the flow of things. I just don't think it's going to be this week.
Yeah, and Brett said Jesse James. That's another good one. I could see him finding the end zone. So if you're looking for a streamer, that's absolutely a good option.
Absolutely. And in Philly, really, I don't see anybody here that impresses me against that Pittsburgh defense. Ryan Matthews is not going to get off from the running aspect, from the running side of it.
No, Pittsburgh's allowing, I think, 50 yards rushing a game, and they've given up one touchdown. They look as tough as they were last year. I think the one I would look at is maybe Jordan Matthews, because he could just see a ton of targets where he ends up having a good game.
Does this go back to the NFL headline that they say that Philadelphia wants to get Green Beckham more involved in the offense?
Well, I'm sure they want to because they traded for him, but eventually he's got to do something to get himself involved. It can't be just having a game plan. He's got to play at a level that warrants him being involved, and he just hasn't proven that yet.
All right. Chicago, Dallas. Who we playing on Chicago? Langford, probably, because Hoyer is the quarterback.
Yeah, Langford, and I think Jeffrey would be the other one because he's going to be active. And we saw Hoyer in Houston where he was able to still allow DeAndre Hopkins to maintain fantasy value. I think it's the same situation here. Jeffrey's just so good that even with Hoyer, he can have a big game. What it hurts is the second and third receivers. Is Hoyer good enough to get them involved? Probably not.
Yeah, you know what? And I was just getting ready to touch on that because you know who's come out of the gate really quick on the Cutler was Eddie Royal.
Yeah.
I think he was averaging, 19 points a game or something like that?
Yeah, he was on fire the first couple of weeks. And, I mean, this is a guy that he had good chemistry with in Royal's rookie year when they were both in Denver. And, Royal was just hurt last year and never able to stay on the field. And, yeah, these first two games, he just looked like Cutler was looking his way a lot. But with Cutler out, I don't really think Eddie Royal's an option.
I noticed a lot of people drafted Kevin White. He's pretty much a non-factor at this point. He has been so far. And then with Cutler hurt, I don't think he's you can't go with Kevin White with Brian Hoyer there. I think there's only room for one fantasy relevant receiver with Hoyer behind center, and that's going to be Hopkins. Okay, now moving on to Dallas. Obviously, Ezekiel Elliott. Do you play Dak Prescott?
No. He hasn't thrown a touchdown pass yet. He did have 292 yards passing, but that's not enough. With all the other quarterback options that you have out there, I would not play him.
Okay. And, there's been a sneaky little fantasy play is Cole Beasley.
I think this is one whether you're in standard leagues or PPR leagues. If you're in standard, probably stay clear of him. But with the amount of targets as he's seen in PPR leagues, he's definitely fantasy viable there.
Okay.
Jason Witten is going to be fantasy viable because Dak Prescott checks down to him quite a bit. So you definitely can go with Witten.
Noticed that a lot in the first two games.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, the other pinball game of the week, Atlanta and New Orleans on Monday night.
You could just put anybody in this game.
Sanu,
yeah, on
Jones,
both sides.
Ryan.
Yes. Yes.
Coleman, Freeman.
I've got Sanu in one of my wide receiver
spots
this week.
Jacob Tammy.
Yes. I've got Jacob Tammy as my tight end, too, so yes.
The other side, you've got Breeze, Cooks, Snead. He's a game time. If you're willing to roll the dice and wait that long, go right ahead. I'm not going to do it, but he would also be a fantasy option if he's available. Outside of that, Ingram, perhaps, getting some play out of the field.
Yeah, the only two people on this or players I wouldn't play on this game is either one's defense. I'd leave those alone.
And get out of my head because that's just what I was thinking.
Yeah, stay away from the Atlanta and the New Orleans defense. Not that anybody would have them on their roster to begin with, but
Cooks is going to play. So look for a sleeper this week. If Snead can't play, Michael Thomas.
Good. It's a good choice too. Yeah,
absolutely. Even if Snead can play, Michael Thomas is a good play because
any of those receivers on either side of the ball, either side of the field is going to be good play.
Yeah.
From wide receiver to tight end and running backs out of the backfield, it's going to be. We talked about this last week with the Giants and the Falcons, but this one, since it's in the dome, will be a track meet.
Yeah, you're right, Danny. Mike Thomas is a sleeping giant, and again, I think if Snead does not play, it gives him a chance to be showcased as that sleeping giant.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Or awakening that sleeping giant.
We're an hour away from kickoff as of right now.
All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and transition over to the PICKEM show. Hopefully Jeff didn't fall asleep while we were doing this. Jeff,
Yeah, I'm right here.
All right, guys. So let me get over to my picks so that way I'm not off base here.
Hey, Danny's got some questions. You guys seen that really quick?
Yeah, can you guys tackle those?
Or Derek, see those?
Always for dozing and Diego. He's talking to you, dude.
Well, he was talking about Mike Thomas as the sleeping giant for fantasy people. And I agree.
And
I absolutely agree in this game.
And he also says leave Fleener alone, correct?
Yes. Fleener has been so slow the first couple games that I wouldn't trust him in any matchup. I think you have to sit him until he proves he can play.
Hey, I'd play Clipboard Jesus before I play Fleener in any lineup.
Yes.
And he may not even play today, so yeah, it's absolutely correct.
Okay, guys, here we go. Arizona at Buffalo. Who you got?
Arizona.
And Nick, I would say he sent me a.
Yeah, I got that too. He included us on both of them. I'll get over to the message.
Okay. I got too much going on my screen right now.
Arizona.
Yeah, I think that was I can remember the Arizona as his first pick.
Yeah.
On the mid. I'm not gonna. You know what? There's no way I'm going against that one.
No.
I see Arizona 38, Buffalo maybe 17. Maybe.
That may be a little high.
Might be a little high is right. I was thinking 10 myself, but I'll give them a flyer on some miracle. All right, next up, Minnesota and Carolina. You've got a Minnesota team without Adrian Peterson, who is now going to have to rely mostly on Bradford, Diggs, the tight end, Rudolph, probably a little bit of Charles Johnson. And who emerges out of that backfield between McKinnon and Asiata is the question.
I think McKinnon is the one that is going to emerge, but the problem is Asiata can zap all the upside with taking away the goal line carries, so that becomes a concern.
Vulture. He's going to play the vulture role. All right, and in Carolina, of course, you've got Cam and the crew down there. They're just a bunch of pass-happy, run-happy kind of guys down there. They're at home. I know there's a lot of stuff going on outside the stadium that's probably going to cause a little distress here and there, but Carolina stands tall at home. I just don't think that Minnesota has enough weapons on either side to slow that train down.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I agree. I think Carolina wins that game pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm taking Carolina too.
Yeah, me too. Carolina.
Clean sweep on Carolina. I'm going to go ahead and say Nick probably says.
Nick says Carolina as well, yes.
Okay, and I'm also going to put up a score for Carolina of 34-13. I think they're going to kill the Minnesota Vikings today. All right, Denver at Cincinnati.
Denver.
I do not like Denver on the road against Cincinnati's defense. I would go with Cincinnati in that game. Nick also likes Cincinnati.
So Scott's going Denver. Derek's going Cincinnati.
Nick is also going Cincinnati.
Okay. Jeff is going Cincinnati because he's an Andy Dalton guy.
Yeah, I'm going Cincinnati next game.
And you know what? I'm going to go with Cincinnati as well. Trevor Siemian, Thomas injured on a snap count, on the road, in the jungle. It just doesn't add up to a Denver win to me. So,
Lone Wolf.
all right, and so I'm going to say the final on that, and I got a feeling it's going to be a somewhat low-scoring game. So I'm going to go 20-14 Cincinnati. Somehow or another, they'll get to 14 with with field goals.
Yeah, that should be a defensive-oriented game, I would think. And the last time we said that, then it was Bills 37, or Jets 37, Bills 31.
Yeah, how do we do with that one?
Yeah.
Well, sort of like you had LeGarrette Blount ranked at 30th in your running back.
Yeah. This is why we don't get paid for this shit.
Good thing too, man.
LeGarrette Blount was pretty far down on your running back list there, Derek.
He was. I thought Houston was going to be able to stack the boxes against him. That was an unbelievable effort.
Didn't we all? Because I wouldn't have – I mean, I saw LeGarrette Blount as a liability this week.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I kind of thought James White would bust out for a change, you know? But it didn't happen that way. All right, so next game up, Detroit and Green Bay. We'll let Derek pick last on this one.
Green Bay.
Yeah, Green Bay. Yeah. Our general the general manager of my team's got Aaron Rodgers starting. Elliot's
The general manager.
yeah, the general manager of my fantasy team, which I'm the owner of.
Okay, we won't get into the semantics. Okay. I'm going to go with Green Bay over Detroit, 27-23.
He makes all decisions. I stay away.
Who's Nick got?
Nick has Green Bay.
Nick has Green Bay. And I would assume you're going with Detroit?
I'm going with Green Bay.
Yeah.
I would not use it as an eliminator pick, though. I think Green Bay's struggling out of the gate. I think it's going to be a close game.
When we get to
the
game, I'll tell you what my eliminator game is. My survival game.
Baltimore and Jacksonville, the potential for a little high scoring
Sure
game.
hell ain't that game.
I know Jeff's picking Baltimore.
I'm taking Baltimore.
And you want to know, and you want to know something? Baltimore's got to get rolling. Okay.
Jacksonville has a lot of injuries today, so I want to take Baltimore.
Bortles looked like he was so out of sync last week against the Chargers.
Jacksonville,
it was ridiculous.
Jacksonville has a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
Yes.
Baltimore came back from a 20-2 deficit last week against.
Yeah, but it was the Browns, Elliot.
Right.
Come on.
What team was that?
It was the Browns, Elliot. We know.
That's right. It was the Browns. Yeah. And they also beat the Bills. So Baltimore's actually 2-0 right now.
I know.
All right. Who you got? Baltimore, Jacksonville, Scott.
I said Baltimore.
Baltimore. Flacco.
Gotta
Go Flacco.
Gotta hit the Ravens.
Derek?
Nick and I both have Jacksonville.
Holy freaking moly.
Derek and Nick go.
Holy Toledo,
man.
It's at home. Baltimore doesn't play as well on the road, and Jacksonville does have some injuries, but I think they figure out a way to score on that Baltimore secondary this week.
You're right, Brett. They do, but I don't think they get it.
I'm going with Jacksonville too because Baltimore. If Baltimore gets out or gets behind the way they did against Cleveland with Jacksonville, they're not making that comeback.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Jacksonville to pull their first win out at home, and the final will be 27-23. 20. Jacksonville over Baltimore. All right, Cleveland at Miami. Are you going against your team again this week, Scott?
I get picked. I get to pick
fall
last.
on your dagger. Are you going to fall on your sword, or are you just going to...
I get to pick last. I'm not saying
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. Derek, who you got?
Nick and I both have Miami. And this is my eliminator pick for the week because you got to use teams with losing records to win these things. And I don't see how Cleveland's going to go on the road and win with Cody Kessler starting at quarterback.
Yeah, this is my survival game too. Yeah, I need Miami to win. I'm taking Miami in this game. And don't be surprised if you see Terrell Pryor playing quarterback today.
There is a rumor that he may put him in. They may put him in as a quarterback
Don't be
this week too.
surprised.
Yes.
All right, so does that mean you jump out and go get Terrell Pryor for your fans?
No.
No.
All right. Okay. So who are you picking, Scott? Are you following?
You didn't pick yours yet.
Yeah,
You didn't pick yours yet.
Oh, I'm picking my. Did I have to say I was going to pick my?
You didn't put a score out there yet.
I'm sorry. 31-13.
Wow.
And yes, I'm taking Miami.
31-13. Wow.
I hope Cody Kessler makes me look like crap.
Terrell Pryor will take care of that for you. Don't worry.
Hey, look, if Bill Belichick was the coach in Cleveland, I'd pick Cody Kessler to win.
He was a long time ago.
Okay, so I mean, unless they got Bill Belichick coaching today, Cody Kessler ain't.
Mark Modell took care of that.
No.
He moved the team to Baltimore.
All right, Washington at the Giants. I don't have to even ask Jeff who he's picking in this game.
No, you don't. I'm wearing the
I'm
freaking
taking the
shirt for
Giants.
Jiminy Cricket's sake.
Yeah, I'm taking the Giants. Giants are the class of that division. That's not saying much, but they are.
No, and they need
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought maybe they had a Philadelphia Dream Team situation where they signed a bunch of free agents in free agency and they wouldn't necessarily gel together. But through the first 2 weeks, that doesn't look to be the case. They look like that defense is much improved.
The Giants? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you going with the Giants, Scott?
Yes.
Derek?
Yep, Nicholas and I are both going with the Giants.
And you know I got to roll with the G, man.
Yep, first.
And I'm going 30-19.
That's a nice score.
Giants over the Redskins.
It's not going to make Norman happy, but that's a nice score.
Cousins throws 3 interceptions today.
Yeah, that's going to be beautiful right there. And fumbles at least once.
And that'll justify me.
How smart are the Redskins now? They put him as a franchise player instead of sending him to a long-term deal. How smart do they look now?
Franchise tagged them for what?
1 year, yeah.
1 year. Yeah, like even though it was $20 million or something like that, they didn't give him a long-term deal, which may turn out to be a good thing.
Well, hey, maybe who knows? Maybe he'll turn the corner after this week.
I think it's a little early to write him off yet just because of 2 bad games, but he's definitely on a troubling trajectory, and it's looking like they made the right decision.
Okay, let's see. Where are we at here? Oakland and Tennessee.
I got the Raiders in this game.
With the Delaney Walker inactive status, I was going to give this game to Tennessee because I figured that with Delaney Walker in the game and all the other weapons, the Mariota, this, that, and that they would definitely run roughshod on that Oakland defense. But without Walker, that takes a little bit of the starch out of that game plan, doesn't it?
Yes.
That's
a big weapon not to have in that game.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Oakland. And I'm just going to say because I think they're just going to do like they did in Carolina. They're just going to barely outscore Tennessee in a high-scoring game.
Nick and I agree. We both have Oakland.
Jeff?
I'm taking Oakland, too. Correct me if I'm wrong, Derek. Tennessee has lost the last 13 or 15 games at home.
Probably.
Yes. Yes, that is right, because they had a record going last year that I think they snapped at home. They had lost like 11 in a row and were close to the record, and then they pulled out a win, and now they've lost. So that sounds about right.
13
And I'm
of the
sure
last
the
15 games at home they've lost.
And I'm sure the winning percentage for the road record is not any much better.
That's some home field advantage they got there, isn't it?
Well, especially when you're playing in the AFC South, where Houston won the division at 9-7 last year.
Yeah, I'm taking Oakland just for that alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no Music City Miracles lately down in Tennessee. All right, San Francisco and Seattle. I got a feeling this is going to be unanimous with Seattle. Am I correct, gentlemen?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm taking Seattle.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that defense runs ramshot over that San Francisco offense. I think the defense has a potential to score twice this week. They finally get off that Schneider, because I don't think the defense has scored anything yet, if I'm not mistaken.
No, and hopefully without Rawls being active, hopefully Michael can get into a rhythm where they get a running game with one running back rather than hopping around between two of them.
Let Michael take over that position and let him have it, make it his this time, without having to worry about Rawls coming in to spell him.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. That's the key right there. And this, again, I said this is Rawls' launch pad right now. If he could,
that's going to be motivation for him, because the fact with Rawls not looking over his shoulder, not having to worry about coming in at all this week, Michael's free to play as hard as he wants to.
Okay, I'm going to give the score for the Oakland-Tennessee game. I'm going 38-34 Oakland on that one.
Whoa.
And Seattle-San Francisco, I'm going to go Seattle 22, San Francisco 10. That's my pick for that game. All right, LA and Tampa. Scott, you go last again.
Well, I like Tampa, and Nix likes Tampa as well. I think the Rams, I just see this too many times with bad teams. They get that good upset win, and then they just come out flat the next week. And other than Gurley, they just don't have enough on offense.
That really wasn't a good win. I mean, it was an ugly game because it was a bunch of field goals. And
it's in Tampa, right?
Yeah.
So LA's flying across the country, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm taking Tampa.
Yeah, I'm going to take Tampa also. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game because LA's defense is still there playing, and Tampa's defense isn't too shabby, and especially with Case Keenum under center, I have zero confidence in any offensive aspect of the Rams game. Yeah. I go Tampa. I go final Tampa 23, LA 13.
Well, you're not going to put them on 9 points again like you did last week?
No. I think they'll score a touchdown this week against Tampa.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Buccaneers as well.
Well, really?
It's not a homer pick because
that would have been shocking as Derek going with Detroit. Come on now. All right, San Diego, Indianapolis.
Chargers.
Gee, I'm surprised.
No, I think San Diego goes in there and beats luck.
Yeah, this is one area where Nick and I had disagreed on all offseason because he had Indianapolis as a playoff team, and I thought that Indianapolis was going to win 6 games tops. And Nicholas has Indianapolis in the game. I have San Diego.
Flip it, Elliot.
What the hell is this sign language going on between you two?
He's going to flip a coin. Exactly what he's doing. I know exactly what he's talking. He's talking right to me. I know what he's doing.
Come on now.
I'm taking the Colts at home.
I think Gordon has a good game against the Colts.
Okay, so you're going with Indy at home. So is Nick.
Yes.
Nick too.
Yeah, Nick too.
You're going with San Diego, right?
No,
I went
Nick,
with San Diego.
Derek went with San Diego. Yeah, Nick went with Indy.
I mean, this might sound funny, but I think San Diego has a little bit better defense than Indianapolis, so I'm going to go with San Diego.
Everybody has a little bit better defense than Indianapolis.
I'm going to say it'll probably be high scoring considering that it's Riverboat Rivers against Andrew Machine Gun Luck. So I'm going to put it up there kind of like the Oakland-Tennessee game. San Diego 37 and Indianapolis 34.
Wow.
Jets at Kansas City.
Interesting game here. This is an interesting game.
JTES, Jets.
Jets? You said JTES.
JETS, Jets.
Now you're hooked up. Good job.
See, I have a quandary. A little bit of a problem. No, not that much of a flip of a problem.
A little bit of a quandary, all right?
No. The general manager of my team has informed me that we're playing Decker and Forte today.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to pick Kansas City. That's my quandary.
Well, usually money speaks louder than anything else.
Yeah. But Kansas City doesn't lose at home a lot, do they?
No, Arrowhead's tough to play.
Well, when you get a team like San Diego that only plays for one half, that's going to happen.
Whack.
Yeah, I'm in a little bit of a quandary.
Shot across the bow. Look at that.
Yeah, I'm in a little bit of a quandary here. I'm going to go with the team I
don't think any. Are the rest of us in a quandary here?
I'm not.
I'm going to go with the team I originally picked. I'm not changing my pick. I'm taking the Chiefs.
Okay.
Nick and I both like the Jets. If the game was in Kansas City, I'd give Kansas City more of a chance to win. I think
it is in Kansas City.
It is in Kansas City.
Oh, wait, never mind. I misread. I'm sorry. I'd still go with the Jets. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be closer, but
it'll be closer, right?
I still go with the Jets.
That's great.
Hey, we didn't let him finish his sentence before we announced that they were actually playing against Kansas City.
Yeah, I that's what I was going to say, but I totally misread on the screen.
Scott, who you got?
Jets.
Oh, my God.
I like to see Decker and Forte do well, score a lot of fantasy points, but Jets need to lose the game.
That was almost as funny as the reaction I got when I wanted to put the Tony Orlando video on screen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No. Wait.
No more of that, please. That's scary.
What about Revis?
Yeah, there is no more Revis Island. It's what does Elliot like to call it?
The Revis Lily Pad.
Revis Lily Pad.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what Elliot likes to call it. It's not the island no more. It's a goddamn lily pad.
Island no more.
I can't remember which of the analysts says it, but it might be Billick. Sipping Mai Tais on Revis Island.
It was Billick. Yes, it was.
It was Billick, yeah.
Saw that. Okay, I'm going to say Jets 27, Kansas City 17 in this game.
Man. Am I the only one pick KC?
You're the only one.
You are the only one in the conundrum.
Good.
All right. Pittsburgh at Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh.
I like to see. I like to see Philadelphia get a loss.
I don't think there's a doubt here who everybody is picking. Carson Wentz been playing representative football the first couple of games, but
he hasn't
really played a good defense yet, and that's happened. And that changes this week.
If you let me get my words out, that's what I was going to say.
Hey,
I told
you're the one complaining. I'm just sitting here like a bump on a log, so I'm going to start talking.
God, how many times I told you to stay out of my head?
You're the one telling me I'm sitting on my butt doing nothing. I'm going to start talking. To hell with you.
Good.
Oh, the hell with me. Okay.
Good, you fat bastard.
I'm going to commit that one to memory. All right. Pittsburgh 27, Philadelphia 16.
I think they'd be lucky to get that many points.
Oh, they'll get 3 field goals and a touchdown.
Maybe.
I think they'll move the ball. They just won't get anything done in the red zone.
CBS is going off on Cleveland right now.
And Philadelphia doesn't have a shabby defense, so they could get lucky and put one in, on the defensive side. So I'm just saying. All right. Chicago and Dallas later tonight.
God, I hate this game because it sucks. Because I hate both teams. I'm going to take the Cowboys at home.
Yeah,
I think Dak gets out the schneid and gets the touchdown pass tonight.
I agree with Hoyer starting at quarterback. I just can't really go with
even if Cutler were starting, I'd still take the Cowboys.
Jeff's going with Chicago, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Gee, there's a freaking surprise.
Jeff, he might as well just stay off the show and I could get his picks myself.
Yeah, Chicago's going to win that game 17-13.
Well, I'm kind of thinking Chicago's going to lose that game 24-19. So
you taking Chicago?
What?
You said you were taking Chicago? Is that what you said?
The Chicago Bulls of 1990? Sure, I'll take them.
And Nick likes Dallas as well.
Hey, I like the Cubs' chances better than the Bears. And Cubs got some boys on their team that look like they can play some football too.
Yeah.
Hang on, guys. I'm right back. Give me a second.
Okay.
All right. So, 24-19 is my call on this.
Okay.
And Atlanta at New Orleans.
Sorry, had to do a feline intervention.
Nice.
Atlanta at New Orleans, Monday Night Football.
Oh, Jesus. Do we have to pick a winner on this game? Do we
Java, are you still here? No, he's not.
He said he was headed to some music festival.
Yeah.
Nick and I both like New Orleans in this game. I think I can't remember the exact record, but I think Breeze is 16-5 against Atlanta, and Ryan is 5-11, I think it is, or something like that. Ryan never seems to be able to get the win against them. It's in New Orleans, so I think the Saints will win a track meet game.
Well, just a little reminder from last year. Atlanta went into the New Orleans game last year in New Orleans with a 5-0 record. They lost that game, which way they were actually favored to win in New Orleans. And then their season just went down the tubes after that.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I like New Orleans at home. I can't pick against New Orleans at home in a shootout, especially because that's
exactly.
I'm the same way. I gotta take the Saints.
I'm taking Drew Brees in the Saints.
Drew Brees for the quarterback that stinks.
That's right. Exactamundo.
All right, and
35-23 is the score I'm picking for that one.
I've got New Orleans. They're going to throw up a 40 burger this week on Atlanta. 45-34.
Wow.
New Orleans over Atlanta.
Two god-awful defenses.
Yeah. Wunderbar.
It's got the potential for that 52-49 Giant Saints thing last year. So, I don't know. I kind of like it. All right, real quick, guys. Looks like we're going to finish on time.
How about them apples?
Nice. And here
How about those apples?
All right, your perfect lineup fantasy for the week. Just give me the player at each position, starting with quarterback.
For me, we just got done talking about the game. It'd be Drew Brees against Atlanta. He plays traditionally well against them. It's a bad defense. I think he's going to have a monster game in the Dome on Monday night.
Brees. Okay. Scott?
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers. In Indianapolis. Wow.
Even though Indy wins that game, I'm taking Phillip Rivers.
And I'm gonna go flip side. I'm gonna go Andrew Luck. I think he has a field day with that San Diego defense. Everybody else does. Okay, running back one.
Would be hard for me to go against David Johnson playing up in Buffalo. Buffalo's defense has just looked horrible the first 2 games. So I think he's going to have a really big game up in Buffalo.
Matt Forte.
M. Forte in Cincinnati as your running back 1. Okay.
Yes.
Running back 2.
D'Angelo Williams. It's going to be the last game that he is the starter. Le'Veon Bell comes back after this game, but they've shown that they're going to give him the ball 25 or 30 times, and I think this Eagles defense is going to get exposed by the Steelers this week.
Yeah, I think he goes out with a bang, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to go Mark Ingram.
Oh. Okay. Wide receiver 1.
I just can never go against Antonio Brown, especially he had an off game against Cincinnati. I don't think he's going to have 2 off games in a row. I think he's going to have a monster game as well.
I ain't going to argue with that one.
And then I'm going to go Odell Beckham.
Beckham is your 1?
Yeah.
The 2?
I got Odell Beckham as my 2. So it's
it's kind of a flip-flop right there because I think Scott is going to choose Antonio Brown as the wide receiver 2, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, we'll take both. You can't go against them.
And let's see. You chose Beckham, as did I. At the tight end.
He's looked good in the first 2 games. Greg Olsen down in Carolina. I think they're going to figure out how to involve him early and often in that game against Minnesota.
I can't argue against that either. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else out there, even though it's Minnesota's defense. They got so many weapons. Yeah, I'm going to go Olsen as well.
I'm going to take Julius Thomas.
I thought about Julius Thomas, but Baltimore doesn't seem to give up too much to the tight ends. More to the wide receivers, like Corey Coleman and stuff like that. So I think they get burned a lot on the outside, not so much down the middle. All right, Julius Thomas. Flex 1.
I'm going to go with a running back in that spot. I think Ezekiel Elliott's going to have a big game. That's going to be his big stage for him on Sunday Night Football, and the Bears have not looked good on defense the first couple of weeks, so I think he's going to be in for a big game.
Scott?
D'Angelo Williams.
Okay. And I guess I'm going to go with Melvin Gordon myself. I think he's going to put a whooping on that Indianapolis defense today. He might put it in the end those 3 times today. All right, flex 2.
Well, we were talking about that New Orleans-Atlanta game being a shootout, and I think with what Amari Cooper did on the road down there, I don't see why Julio Jones isn't going to do the same thing. It'd be hard for me to not put him in the super lineup.
I can't argue with that one either because if you're going to put New Orleans guys up there, you got to put somebody in Atlanta because both of them have horrendous defenses, and when you got who's going to benefit too big if he takes advantage is Mohamed Sanu.
Yes.
So watch out for him and Jacob Tamme as well. But yeah, I think Jones would be the best play there. Scott?
I'm going to go to the side. I'm going to take Brandon Cooks.
Cooks. All right, interesting. Kickers.
I like Justin Tucker at Jacksonville. Baltimore, I think, is going to move the ball on that defense, but they tend to stall out in the red zone sometimes, and he's got a monster leg so he can kick long field goals. So I like Justin Tucker this week.
What?
Matt Bryant.
Matt Bryant. It doesn't bode well if they score a bunch of touchdowns. All right, and I'm going to go with the earlier suggestion, Brandon McManus to kick, because he's got a big foot too. So I could see him going for a couple 50-yarders and nailing them. All right, and finally on defense.
I like Seattle. With San Francisco and Blaine Gabbert up in Seattle, I don't see how Seattle doesn't force the turnovers and get a defensive touchdown in this game.
Okay. Oh, by the way, all the guys on the NFL Network are picking the Broncos to win today.
Interesting.
Yeah. Every single one. All right, Scott, you're up.
I like the Steelers defense this week.
All right, so that does it for the perfect starting lineup for you fantasy guys out there, or your daily fantasy people out there too. Okay, that does it for me, guys. Another great show. Ran over about 6 minutes, but
That's it.
I'm sure we're gonna have plenty of time, plenty of stuff to talk about come Thursday.
Yep, I'm sure we will.
Absolutely.
All right,
Hey.
Jeff, over to you, man.
Hey, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did. It's Monday. We'll be back tomorrow to begin the week here at Sports World Radio. Until then, my friends, remember, you only have one life to live. Live it long, live it strong, and live it proud. And please don't forget, life may suck, but the alternative is unacceptable. For Scott the Sports Nerd, Eric Laughlin, Elliot Big E Lamba, I'm Jeff Escow. This has been Sports World Radio. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to Sports World Radio with your hosts, Jeff Escow and Elliot Big E Lamba. Online at sportsworldradio.com. Sports World Radio, the equal opportunity ripper. We'll catch you next time.